Bitcoin bottomed. It bottomed a few weeks ago at 60K. You had a nice retest, beautiful retest into some war headlines, bearish headlines that couldn't stick into 62K. Given the fact that we lost this, we lost this, and we lost this, we now have to work back inside this range. We came right into the midpoint of it at 60K. And then, following that, again, had a bunch of bearish headlines. War, Iran, this and that. Everybody is now finding out about the possibility to short. Everybody thinks that this is just gonna, take out the highs, trade lower, blah, blah, blah. Everybody seems to be on the same shit, but forget what everybody's saying. Everybody saying what they're saying does not indicate what price is gonna do. What I think is that Bitcoin clearly, in hindsight, distributed up here and then spent the better part of what, half a year dropping, just about a third of a year, call it 3 4 months, going down over 50% from all-time high. In my eyes, it's time for a real bear market rally. This was very cute, but this is not what we talk about when we talk about a bear market rally. Bear market rallies, you can easily see 30, 40, 50% gains on Bitcoin alone, right? Alts going crazy, doubling, tripling, and then doubling or tripling again. Now, Bitcoin is one of the only charts, unlike Ethereum or Solana, that actually has some sort of structure still left in it because of this range that we had in late 2024, right? This is an area where you can actually have some context as to what you can expect from price, right? I'm still of the belief that the 60K wick doesn't get touched up until at the very least we get into the 80K range. Now, to keep it short and sweet, I think that if we can get back into this general area up here, that opens up our possibility to trade back higher into 100K. If we can reclaim this area at 84, 85,000, that sets us up for much higher prices. I still, again, I'm positioned long, right? You guys would know if you're following the Telegram or just seeing my tweets, I'm positioned for this outcome. I don't think that the bearish argument of SPX topping, first of all, I don't think it applies to crypto. Second of all, nothing about this chart tells me this is topped, okay? People like to get discouraged when price goes sideways after some time. The only argument that I can give bears that somewhat makes sense is this retest up here, right? Is a lower high relative to all-time high. But then a few days after that, you had this insane wick close back within. Why shouldn't we go back up above 7,000 once again? Besides that, I also don't think that these two charts are correlated very well. This and Bitcoin. I think that if you put them side by side, you'll see that they're quite fucking different, right? Um, Bitcoin's been going straight down, and SPX has been going straight up, or at the very least sideways. Now, suddenly, it makes sense, or it is, convenient for bears to call for a correlation between Bitcoin and SPX. Meanwhile, that's not been the case for over half a year at this point. So I think it's time to get your heads out of your ass. And if you are bearish equities, short equities. Don't think that Bitcoin, being currently down 40% from all-time high, is going to outperform SPX to the downside if the S&P 500 actually starts pricing down, which I don't think it will. Hyperliquid, the only coin that I'm holding right now, is the best looking chart in crypto, and I stand on that. And I'll make it very, very simple for you so you guys can see. You have, I want to call this the top of the range, and then this being just a deviation, but that's a deviation until further notice. up until now, I'm working with, call it $50 to $30, and then we had this deviation down here. It's very clear to see. You don't need to be smart or very intelligent or have very good eyesight, excuse me, to realize that the low that we put in at $20 was preceded by a higher low at 25. We still need to break above $38, but this price action to me looks very promising for so many reasons. One, again, this break in structure here and a confirmation of a higher low is very, very promising. Now, a lot of people are going to wait for a higher high to form above $40, but by then you're going to get some pretty shitty entries, right? And you're going to be longing into, I don't want to say resistance, but definitely not the bottom of any ranges or any discounted areas, right? If this is the range that we're working with, then $40 is going to act as the midpoint, right? You don't want to be longing into that. This is where price might do a lot of fucking bullshit, and you can get chopped up. So, with that said, I also think that we can actually just erase everything and go back on the weekly. The weekly also paints a really nice picture. You have this low, you have this higher low, and then you have this beautiful sweep. Took out both of these lows right here. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Beautiful bullish SFP on the weekly there with this nice green candle that also filled a bunch of this inefficiency, right? I still think this trades higher. All this while war headlines and World War III headlines and Iran and this and that and Israel and USA and all this end of the world type shit is happening. And again, nothing is sticking, right? You have to ask yourself, at what point as a bear am I wrong? At what point do I admit to myself that the indicators that I'm using to back up my bearish bias are no longer in effect, right? You have to ask yourself these questions, in my opinion. That's the only way you're going to be able to win and actually make money. That's what you're here to do, right? So on the 4 hour trend, again, it doesn't take a big brain to see what's happening here. You see, in my eyes, a clear shift in the trend. Solana looks nothing like this. Ethereum looks nothing like this. Any one of these fucking altcoins look nothing like this. Hype is, in my opinion, the only coin that looks somewhat good for a long. It even looks better than Bitcoin. And if you pull up the Hype versus Bitcoin chart, it's essentially trading at all-time high. You understand what I'm saying? This is what you want to get long. This is literally uh, shaping up to break out versus Bitcoin, which has been really strong since we bottomed at 60K. So without too much fluff, trying to keep it pretty precise and to the point, I think we bottomed, and I think the opportunity is to the upside. Sure, you might have some low time frame shorts, whatever, but what I'm definitely not saying is ape in now. Bitcoin technically is at resistance, right? But who cares about the low time frame stuff? Will this daily close as an SFP? Fucking maybe. You know what? And then maybe you'll get a chance to relong a little bit under 70K here at this daily order block. But who really cares? In the grand scheme of things, look at this fucking look at the intensity of the sell-off, right? We had this first leg down, a little bit of consolidation, a sweep at the highs, and then another leg down into support, right? This is the last time that we chopped around before Bitcoin literally fucking doubled, even more from the bottom here at 50K. So, very strong sell-off. Not to mention the fact that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red dailies, red weeklies, excuse me, in a row. At some point, you need to expect some sort of serious bear market rally. Again, in my eyes, fucking, what is this? 20% from the lows is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. We've seen Bitcoin rally 20% in a day during a proper bear market rally. So again, I'm not calling for new all-time highs this year. I don't think if you have, some buys over 100 grand, 110 grand, 120 grand that you want to get out, at break even from, I don't think you get that chance this year. But who fucking cares? That's not what this video is about. This video is talking about how I expect us to come back and trade inside here. Uh, uh, which then opens up the door to potentially going over 100,000. Okay, that's really it. Not much else to say. So yeah, let's just end it off right here. Have a good day, guys, and I'll talk to you later.